Dear Diary, this is part 8 of my horrendous 99 project and the false arrest of me by the Brooklyn DA, Charles Hynes, and his criminal goons, by a con artist, snake, rapist, child molester named Harry Stuckey, a.k.a. Vox of the Vox Illuminati, cheesy rock band he's got. Belch. Pardon me, I want to go back a little bit and talk about true threats some more, because most people don't know about this stuff. They should teach people some things in school, but they don't. They teach a bunch of history that's a bunch of fucking lies. True threats are really funny, because in so many of my cases, people are like, you did threaten them. It's like, no, you fucktard, I didn't. And actually, to make it even more outrageous, the government says, what are true threats? It has to be a credible threat. Now, we have millions of quotes by politicians where they are literally threatening. For instance, when they say they're going to kill the terrorists, or they say, oh, that guy, I want to pull the lever on him and the death penalty myself. Okay, when a Rudy Giuliani talks about killing somebody, that's a credible threat because he had an army of 40,000 guys with guns. Okay, that's a credible threat. Ironically, one time when Bloomberg had me arrested, the same week at a Martin Luther King Jr. event, he said to a fellow politician, Betsy Gotbaum, he said, I could just shoot you in the face, because she had said some bad things about him in the press. I could just shoot you in the face. Now, that's not a threat, but it's more of a threat than half the things I was allegedly saying that were threats, you see? It's called a double standard. Remember, double standards are illegal in America under the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. But that's one reason why they fuck me up so much. I can't file a lawsuit every time they violate my rights because I'd have to file 20 lawsuits a day. And so would you, and so would everybody. They violate your rights every minute of every day. The government almost never obeys its own laws. See, I could just digress forever. Example, New York City under Rudy Giuliani and Bloomberg, the last 17 years Republican rule, they've never once obeyed federal Clean Air Act. The Clean Air Act, it's a federal clean air law. They just every year get a waiver from the White House. Ta-da! They violate all kinds of laws, and they get away with it because you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. True threats are burp. So, like, here's an example. This is a kind of funny one. And it just shows you how sleazy. And this will haunt me for long after I'm gone because it's all over the press, this quote. And everyone, friends and enemies, all used this quote. All of them took it out of context. How out of context? Wait till you hear. Because remember that. When you hear somebody, you hear people say, when they allegedly say something scandalous, they say, it was taken out of context. A lot of people think, oh, it's fucking full of shit taken out of context. Because most Americans don't know what context means. Here's what context means. When they've charged me with saying, oh, you threatened the mayor, you did all this. No, we didn't. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, you did. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you video of Clint Eastwood murdering people. I'm not joking. I actually have video. I think I even have a DVD of it, of Clint Eastwood shooting people and killing them. I can show it to you. I have it on video. What more do you need? And they'll go, well, that's not the same. I'm like, yeah, it is. No, he's on video killing people. Like, no, that's a movie. It's like, oh, so you're saying context really does matter. So if I was to just show you a clip of him shooting somebody, that might be taken out of context. It might completely change what he's doing, couldn't it? Oh, wacky that. One of the quotes they love to use against me in all the 2005 arrests, which I'll diarize some other time, 3 outrageously, insanely criminal arrests. Those are still being battled in court on appeal, blah, blah, blah. All because Bloomberg was running for re-election and I was destroying him everywhere. And we were even on the same ballot. Haha. And I destroyed that motherfucking piece of shit. But of course, he came at me with millions and millions of dollars of weapons and armies and blah, blah, blah. And they neutralized me until after the election, which was the plan. One of the quotes they used against me, they used my landlord as one of the proxies. I had written an article exposing his crimes in New York press. And like 6 days later, he has me arrested. That's probably a wacky coincidence. He's been my landlord for 15 years. He said, I've harassed him for years. Okay, but you arrested me a few days after I wrote an article to your clients and customers, over 100,000 of them, exposing your crimes and how you stole tax dollars. And you're saying it's unrelated. Wow, well, it doesn't smell unrelated, and that doesn't pass any smell test. That's why they cheated everything in the trials. It was glorious. Really, real works of art. Pardon me, I'm still a little sleep deprived. I'm flying on fumes, and I'm looking at this cute kitty here, hiding behind my laptop. Oh, this is the quote they love to pull. They'd say, oh, Mr. Brodeur said some serious things, like he talked about peeling his landlord's flesh off. He talked about kidnapping his landlord in a van and like fucking smashing him, blah, 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 blah. What they left out, and remember, what I do is I make sure all the shit's recorded. I used to leave voicemails on City Hall's voicemail and my landlord's voicemail. I wanted everything recorded because there was a 100% chance they were going to cheat. And even with the recordings, they cheated. But the recordings will vindicate me in the end. You know, once you go over, the problem is I'm in front of judges appointed by the mayor. That's not remotely legal. I have a right to a fair trial. You can't put me in front of a judge who owes his pension and his job to the alleged victim. that right. If I had nothing else, they lose on that alone. But they cheated everything. You know, they can cheat. It's easy to cheat my conviction when the judge is appointed by the alleged victim. It's easy. It's impossible to not cheat the conviction. And now they're stopping. They're trying to slow down my appeals, waiting until Bloomberg dies of old age, and the rest of them have bought all their mansions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the way they do it. They slow you down. This is pretty misleading. The quote about getting a van and kidnapping him and all that shit wasn't my quote. I said to my landlord, I said, you know, you're lucky. I'll give you a paraphrase of what some of my messages said. I said, you're lucky I'm a pacifist because of all the people you rip off, one day you're going to have a tenant who is not a nice guy, who is not a pacifist, and he's going to fuck your shit up, okay? So you might want to rethink the way you treat people, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And then I said, to show you the damage you're doing to yourself, my girlfriend, Jessica Delfino, said the other night, she said, let's get a van, let's kidnap your landlord, and fucking light him on fire and all this other shit, whatever was said. Burp. And in the message I'm saying this, I said, my girlfriend said that, okay? You don't just piss me off, you're pissing off all the other roommates who live here, and blah, blah, blah. I said, just stop fucking starting stupid, pointless fights. Don't you have anything better in your life to do than fucking rip off people? You're already rich. You've already got your mansions. You don't need to keep, your kids are already going to go to the finest schools on earth. How much do you have to keep ripping people off? They spun that into me saying I was going to kidnap him in the van and kill him or torture him with a hammer or whatever. You see? I didn't even say it. And they all media outlets, everyone twisted it. To this day, they still use that quote against me, even in the current prosecutions. Everyone just repeats the lie, repeats the lie, repeats the lie. That's like, imagine you're a loudmouth at a bar, and I'm with my drunken friend, and my drunken friend says, I don't like the way that guy's fucking yapping. I'm trying to listen to this fucking sweet child of mine on the jukebox. And I say, whoa, calm down, Billy. Calm down, Billy. And I go over to the guy and I say, listen, I know you're drunk, but my friend Billy is a meathead, and his favorite song is Sweet Child of Time, and he doesn't want to hear you yapping over it or singing over it. And he's drunk and he's belligerent and he gets a little out of control. So, and then me being arrested for threatening him. That's one of the ways they cheated. I mean, there was thousands. Actually, in those 3 prosecutions in 2006, from 2005 arrests, I can list 10,000 separate illegal acts they did to cheat. Because remember, even the press calls me Bloomberg and Giuliani's #1 enemy. I'm taking on the most powerful man on earth. Because remember, the mayor of New York City is more powerful than the president. I don't have to explain it again, do I? Stop believing the hype. The mayor of New York City is the most powerful person on planet Earth. You don't know the details. Ask me some other time. Stop doubting me, please. Let's move on. Let's get back to the case at hand. Okay, again, 3 arrests, all from 2009. All of them retarded. And within a week, the DA knew that Harry had lied about everything. I said, here's the phone numbers of all the other witnesses. They'll all tell you he ripped us off. Here's the fucking phone numbers, the emails, blah, blah. The DA said, la, 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 I can't hear you. Because their job is not. Now, remember, the first couple times I was falsely arrested, I thought, oh, the DA's been tricked. The DA's being lied to by the complaining witness, the fucking jerk-off who had me arrested to cover their own ass. The DA's being tricked. The DA's being tricked. And I found out in every single, remember, there's never been a variation of this. Every single time, the DA, once they found out the facts, continued to lie. I would see them just get up in front of the judge every single time and lie about everything, even when it didn't involve the complaining witness. Example, in the current cases with Harry Stuckey and me in Brooklyn, these 3 cases pending, they're going to go to 3 separate trials. They would have all been consolidated in one trial, but my legal aid lawyer, Titus Mathai, he said, no, I don't want them to put them all together. And I'm like, why? It's more efficient. He's like, wouldn't you rather have 3 trials? I'm like, yeah, but it gives them 3 chances to cheat me into jail. You know what I mean? It gives them 3 chances to cheat the system. Because remember, all they want to do is slow me down. They want to slow me down while they continue to commit crimes and steal tax dollars and steal tax dollars. You got to slow me down. The more you arrest me and the more I sit in court and the more I got to pay bail. I'm the number 1 whistleblower on earth. They need to slow me down. I wish they would just kill me. So with these, so here's an example. Before one of the court dates recently, I called up David Danzig. David Danzig was a friend of mine, and then he turned out to be a horrible piece of shit. It's sad to say it. He's Jewish. He's a Jewish lawyer. He's a Jewish millionaire, and money seems to be the most important thing to him. Wow, not a stereotype there. And he stabs his friends in the back for money and other things. And he all along, he was a friend of mine, didn't like Harry Stuckey at all, or didn't know Harry Stuckey at all. But he sided with Harry Stuckey every single time, every single way. None of us could understand it. And I told everyone, I said, there's something David's not telling us. There's a lot of sneaky shit David's not telling us. Needless to say, I was right. A year later, David confessed that he had had a lot of secret conversations with Harry behind everybody's back. Remember, it was a board, sort of. It was like a collective of people. And I would say, David, is there something you want to tell us about a secret relationship with Harry? And David would always say, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. And then a year later, that's the great thing about liars, is they can't always remember which lies they told. A year later, he finally divulged that he had had lots of conversations with Harry behind our backs. And he did more sleazy things than I can possibly fathom. And it's amazing, too, because Harry despises David. But Harry's a pro, con artist. He knows David's a dupe. I'm going to fucking turn him. I'm going to flip him. And this moron's not even going to know he's flipped. I'm going to flip him against his own friends because he's a fucking sheep. And there's plenty of sheep out there. And David Danzig is one. But luckily, he's been added to one of my lawsuits, and he's a millionaire, and I'm going to fucking I'm going to bleed him dry, that piece of shit. Now, see, that's something to say. He talked about making this guy bleed. See, that's another way you take it out of context. I'm going to bleed him dry, meaning I'm going to sue the fuck out of him for half of his assets. They would then take that word and go, he talked about making Mr. Danzig bleed. And people go, whoa, oh, well, now that sounds like a threat of violence. It does. Because they took it out of context. Where was I, though? Oh, so let me give you an example. So at one point, David, we dug up, I was going through emails and stuff from all of us and stuff, finding more and more evidence. Because remember, these cases are sprawling. We're talking thousands of emails in different email accounts. It's like, oh my God, Harry hacked one of my accounts and destroyed a bunch of evidence. So I had to go look at other ones to see if I had backups, because I'm pretty smart. I will try and back up shit in lots of different places because I know I can't trust anyone. I can't trust any email servers, et cetera, et cetera. I back up shit on Hotmail. I back up shit in Yahoo. I back up shit in Gmail, because you can't trust any corporation or anyone. You've got to have massive redundancy built into the system when you're taking on super Nazis. So to give me another example how they lie. It doesn't even matter the complaining witness. Here, now we have David Danzig. Now, example, they said to the judge, we'd like a restraining order for Mr. Danzig. Mr. Brodeur has been contacting Mr. Danzig and intimidating him and threatening him, da-da-da. And Mr. Danzig is a witness in one of these cases. Now, I'm sitting there and I have a right to speak in my defense. But no, I don't. That's only in Hollywood, people. Right? The DA has just said something about me that's false. They said, we would like a restraining order from Mr. Danzig against Mr. Brodeur, calling him or emailing him, because he is a witness in this case. Now, I'm good with details. My lawyers aren't. My lawyers are vegetables. And by law, they have to speak in my defense. And by law, they have to say whatever I ask them to say. But by law, no, they don't. Because all I can do is sue and get money. They can't go to prison. They violate all kinds of federal laws in the Constitution. They can't be penalized. Welcome to America. And in almost every one of my cases, my lawyers have refused to speak up for me, to speak for me, et cetera, et cetera. Example. Now, I could have proven the DA had lied in seconds. One, we have their own email where they say of the 3 arrests, the first one is a stinker. The first one ain't happening. The first one was a farce. Now, that's scandalous because the second and third arrests don't exist without the first arrest. You see, the second and third arrests aren't arrests on their own accord. They came about only because of the restraining order created by the first fake arrest. But now we have the DA. I'll get more into this in a moment. We now have the DA a year into the case sending a private email to Harry Stuckey saying, we're going to have to drop the first charge. The first arrest is garbage. You promised us these 30 to 40 emails, and you haven't provided them. Now, that's devastating. We have the DA admitting secretly that they tortured me and robbed me blind of everything on a mistake. Whoops. Whoops. They can't even say it was a mistake because they've got my emails in the same file and my letters and everything else, phone calls, from a year earlier saying he's lying about this, this, and this. You see? They can't say, we didn't know. It's right there in your file, liar. It's like when Bush said, we didn't know Osama bin Laden was going to hit American shores. It's like, that's funny because we have a memo that was on your desk from 2 weeks earlier where it says bin Laden determined to strike on U.S. shores. No, that was the headline. Oh, everything is a lie. Please kill me. So now this is such a tangent, but sorry, it's not even that interesting a tangent. But to put it in perspective, how the DA's job is to lie about everything. I remember, I used to be like you. I used to think, well, not everything's corrupt. I know everything. Most things are corrupt, but not. Trust me, everything is corrupt. My own lawyers are corrupt. The judge is corrupt. The court officers are corrupt. Everyone's corrupt. It's a giant buddy system of corruption. The human race is nothing else other than humans fucking each other over. That's the only thing that the human race is. A bunch of people fucking each other over. All snakes. And that's why I wanted to die since I was 5. I finally contact David and everyone else, all of our like circle of friends and peers, and I say, everybody, I found more emails by Danzig. Check this one out, check this one out, check this one out. And they all humiliated him and made him look like the fucking dirtbag he was. So I said, David, at this point, you should just cut your losses. I said, you should admit you were wrong about everything because we all agree you were wrong about every single thing you said. It's now 2 years later. Everything you said has expired. It all got caught. You know what I mean? He'd said things that were proven false. Every single thing. There wasn't one single thing he said that proved to be true. Not one. Even when he said you did threaten Harry, he was going to testify to say, I was there and Christopher threatened Harry. But like, okay, but they have me on tape. If the tape recording doesn't rise to the level of a threat, then you're fuck out of luck, you stupid fucking liar. But more power to you. He was going to be there. My friend was going to testify falsely on behalf of my enemy, who doesn't even like him. That's how sleazy and insane humans are. But we now have the DA's email saying that first arrest is garbage. So they no longer need David as their star witness to say, yeah, he threatened Christopher. Well, do you remember the exact quote? Because that's critical under federal law. You can't just say, I remember it sounding like a threat. No, that's not going to count. They wouldn't even probably go to trial with that. They'd probably drop the charges the day we're about to pick a jury or the day we're supposed to start the trial. Well, what they do is they reduce the charges right before you pick a jury to eliminate my right to a jury. You reduce it to B misdemeanors from A misdemeanors, and that's how you skirt the law. And you take away my right to be tried by a jury. Because who am I going to trust more? A jury who owes nothing to the mayor and the DA? Or a judge who's an ex-DA who owes his pension to the mayor? That sounds like a setup to me. And they're going to have to prove that's not organized crime. And I wish them luck. Not really. So Danzig is no longer their star witness. They're not going through with the first arrest. And the DA, speaking to my lawyer, had already said they were not interested in the third arrest either. So of the 3 arrests, the one they were going to go to trial first and cross their fingers and pray was the second one, where it's a single email sent from one of my accounts to Harry Stuckey as a different person, criticizing him, saying things like, I'm going to get you, you piece of shit, or something like that. You're a scumbag, blah, 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 blah. Not very serious. You don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of tax dollars on that, but they are. But that was the case they were going to put all their chips on. Now, that charge has nothing to do with David Danzig, their star witness. He has no connection of any kind to the second arrest. And the third arrest, where I was performing at the gig for Nonsense New York's big 10th anniversary party, David Danzig has no connection of any kind to that arrest. So when they told the judge, Mr. Danzig is their, one of their star witnesses, and I'm threatening him or I'm harassing him, and I shouldn't be talking to him because he's a witness, maybe I'm trying to coerce him or pressure him or things like that. We already had their own emails. Their own emails prove they had just lied to the judge. You see? They were saying to the judge, we need a restraining order for Mr. Danzig because he's our star witness. But their own emails already had proven that he was not only not their star witness, he would never be a witness of any kind. They lied to the judge in broad daylight. Now, what did my lawyer say? My lawyer did this. Nothing. He wouldn't. He's like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'm like, no, you got. And then I kept raising my hand to say, Your Honor, they're lying. And it wouldn't allow me to speak. He'd say, shut up, Mr. Brodeur. Do not say a word or I'll throw you in jail. It's like, but I have a right to defense. Shut up. And they finally grabbed me. I finally snapped. I think that was the day I snapped. Normally I snap more often in court, but lately I haven't been snapping. Maybe I'm getting old and tired. And it depends on how many people are in the audience, because sometimes you got to make a show of it. You want if it's a packed courtroom with 50 people, you got to make a scene because you want everyone to see what's going on. And you couldn't dispute what was going on. I was barred from defending myself, as I'm allowed to under federal law. The judge was committing a federal crime. My lawyer was committing federal crimes. The DA was committing federal crimes. They were all committing federal crimes, and I had no rights of any kind. I have the right to this. I have the right to go to jail and be tortured and everything else, and have my life destroyed, and then sue someday and get money from innocent taxpayers. And everyone calls that justice. Yeah, sounds great. Oh shit, I better fucking wrap this one up. Oh, we're running out of space. Pushing pause to save. Fudge. Looks like we're going to go with end of part 8. Because there's more for part 9. Fuck. I mean, I knew this was going to be long, but I am digressing a lot, but I think some of this stuff is things that people need to know. These digressions. End of part 8.